Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all can join us once again. For our radio audience tuning in at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all can be with us. Also join us online worldwide via our podcast at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music. We're glad you all could be with us as well. We're so excited to welcome back best-selling author Linda Sue Park to our broadcast today. She's celebrating a brand-new book that's already an Amazon bestseller. It's called GRACIE Under the Waves. We're going to talk to Linda Sue not only about the writing of the book, but also what it's been like for her to share stories like this that are entertaining and empowering, I think, for readers of all ages. If you guys are just now finding out about GRACIE Under the Waves, of course, we'll remind you how you can get your own copy of it and stay connected with Linda Sue as well. But Linda Sue, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad to do it. So as I mentioned, GRACIE Under the Waves is already an Amazon bestseller. We're so excited to be able to speak with you about it. What has it been like for you, Linda Sue, to be able to write these stories that are not only entertaining, but also definitely are something that readers of all ages enjoy?
I feel like one of the luckiest people in the world. What I get to do and call it a job is to make up stories and share them with people. And from where I sit, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. Is that love of storytelling? Is that something that you've always enjoyed, Linda Sue?
What I've always enjoyed is reading. Reading to me is a kind of magic. You know, you're looking at, what I say to young readers is you're looking at little black squiggles on a white rectangle. And you can be transported to other places, and you can get to know other lives. And you're not watching a screen. You're not watching people moving. You're looking at little black squiggles, and that's to me a kind of magic. And if you're a writer, it's also a kind of power. You can reach out to people that you will never meet, who are hundreds of miles away from you, thousands of miles on the other side of the planet, and you do it using just little black squiggles.
Love that. And I think with the newest book, I think what makes it so special is that we're able to see not only, of course, the world through Gracie's eyes, Linda Sue, but also the idea that no matter what your age might be, how you can still be able to make a difference. Of course, in this case, we're talking about, a young girl like Gracie, but also for older readers, I think it's a great reminder for them. How has that message resonated with you, Linda Sue, that age is not something that determines what you're able to do in your life?
That is definitely something that my young readers have taught me. I have a previous book called A Long Walk to Water, which I wrote about a dear friend of mine as an example of, how one person can make a difference. And that is not exactly how young readers responded. Instead, they responded with activism. They raised money for my friend's organization, which puts clean water wells into South Sudan. And they've raised millions of dollars and are responsible for hundreds of wells that are now serving millions of people with clean water. And I was just so astounded by that response. And I thought, this is this huge untapped resource, the power of young people to move the needle, to actually make a difference in the world. And so with that in mind, and my concern, as we should all have, for the planet these days, I decided to write a book that might produce a similar response in them with regard to the environment.
Love that. And I love the fact that with Gracie, with GRACIE Under the Waves, and of course, for those who haven't gotten it yet, Linda Sue, we're going to remind you how they can do it. But what I love is that it is something that Gracie already has a passion for. She already has that passion for the water, for being able to have that time with family, and that turns into something bigger. How did the idea for how you wanted to set this book, how did that kind of come about?
Well, that's really simple. It's because I love snorkeling. Now, like some of your Mississippi listeners, I grew up landlocked, and I live landlocked now. But I spend most of my vacations somewhere where I can snorkel. And I didn't discover snorkeling until I was an adult. But as soon as I tried it, I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And more people need to know about this, need to actually see what the ocean is like. As I say to young audiences, if the coral reefs die, the ocean dies. And if the ocean dies, all of us on the planet will be affected no matter where we live. So it was exactly like Gracie's experience in the book, is that it started out, oh, well, I don't want the reefs to die because then where will I snorkel? And turned into something much bigger than I anticipated.
Yeah. That idea of being interconnected, Linda Sue, I've noticed in the few books of yours that I've read, that seems to be almost a theme. Do you find that to be one of those things you keep coming back to, the idea of the togetherness of us and the things that bring us together?
Oh, I love that, Cyrus. Thank you so much. What I think about all my books is that they begin with the idea that the world is unfair. It's an unfair place. And my books ask young readers the question, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to become bitter about it and just resent the world and spend your life in that state? Or are you going to actually try to do something about it? And in order to do something about it, we don't work alone. We always work with other people. And whether it's your family, your friends, your people in school, for adults, your colleagues at work, your community, your church, we are so much more powerful when we do things together. And so that idea of we work together against the unfairness of the world is something that's really important to me and really important to me to convey to young readers.
Well, it definitely comes through, I think, in your work, and we see that for sure in Gracie Under the Waves. I'm curious, though, Linda Sue, for those who have not read some of your previous work, I mean, you from book to book, you've introduced us to some great characters. I've always wondered, have you ever thought about them meeting up sometimes? These characters running into each other.
Wow, I have never thought of that, but you've given me the idea. Thank you very much. In one of a recently published book called "You Are Here: Connecting Flights," 12 different authors wrote stories all set in the same airport, and those characters meet up with each other in our stories. So that was a lot of fun. So I haven't done it myself. I have done it in collaboration with other creators in one of the books.
Love that. I was thinking about that with Gracie Under the Waves. What made me ask the question is that the idea of, what if Gracie ran into one of the characters that your readers may remember from another book, and they, kind of team up together. Anyway, you know how readers are. We just kind of go off on our own little thing. But you bring up a really good point I definitely want to ask you about, and that is the idea of ideas, right? Because I think, as you mentioned with Grace Under the Waves, there was definitely a connection there because of snorkeling. Do you find that the ideas just come to you organically, Linda Sue, or do you kind of go into a book with something in mind that you want to be able to talk about and the characters kind of evolve from there?
Yes. What I would say about that is that every book is different, and it's one of the things I love about writing is that every book I write teaches me something different about writing. So sometimes a book like A Single Shard begins with the idea that in the 11th and 12th centuries, Korea made the best pottery in the world, and as a Korean American, I was like, whoa. I didn't know that. I didn't know we had such an incredible thing to be proud of. With other things like Gracie Under the Waves, it began with a personal passion of mine. So it's almost like the opposite. I knew nothing about Korean pottery, but I knew a lot about snorkeling and love it and know that there's always more to learn. And actually going back to something you said before, it's not necessarily something that's a personal passion, but it is something I am passionate about learning about. And I think that's one of the things I share with my young readers is that sense of curiosity about the world that can become kind of jaded as we get older, but younger readers help keep it alive in me. And I think it's so important for everyone to have something about which they're passionate. Because if you ever meet people who don't have any kind of passion, who don't really care deeply about anything, it's very sad to me, right? It's like they're lost in the world, whereas a passion can anchor you.
I love that. I totally agree with that, and I think that's why stories like Gracie Under the Waves are so important, Linda Sue, and that's why I'm so glad to speak with you today. Again, everyone, Linda Sue Park has been our guest. Gracie Under the Waves is her brand new Amazon bestseller. You can get it, of course, through Amazon or through your favorite local bookstore if they don't have it. I know they'd be more than happy to order it for you. Congratulations to you again, Linda Sue. How can our audience stay connected with you?
I have a website, which is just my name, lindasuepark.com, and I am on Twitter. It's called X now, isn't it? And the Alida imprint, which is my publishing imprint, is on Instagram.
All right. Linda Sue, again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live, and let's go make today amazing. Take care.